Morning. Sorry?
65 and a 35.
I didn't see the sign.
Okay, well, you're
Truth
gonna
be
under
told,
arrest,
sorry about that.
That means you go to jail, so.
So that took place about 1.5 years ago, and currently there is a short on my channel that is going ultra viral with about 150,000 views in the last 48 hours. So I thought, you know what, enough time has passed where statute of limitations is over, and I can just share everything that happened from the moment I left my hotel to the time when I was told I was being arrested. So before we get too far, my name's Dan. This is Gears and Gadgets. This channel is typically about trucks, motorcycles, power sports, gadgets. It's not a channel where I ride around town just trying to rope police officers into interactions.
Today I'm going to be driving my world's fastest General Lee until I get pulled over.
Now, the comments that I've seen on this short, everything from call me a bootlicker to you should have run, really starts making me understand maybe why some officers start to treat everybody like they're idiots. But let's not ignore the flip side of that, which is police officers who are treating everybody as if they are an idiot and really kind of approach policing as incredibly robotic.
Thank you for not smoking.
And I think there's an opportunity for all of us to do better. And I'm going to cover that at the very end of this video. I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip of what happened. This was on a trip I was taking back from Boulder, Colorado, returning to Phoenix, Arizona. I'll roll the footage here.
It is 4:45 in the morning. Sunrise is in about half hour. Sunrise. Yesterday we did about 700 and something miles in 10 hours. The next step for the last 3 hours of this ride is through the Tonto National Forest, and there are a lot of giant animals in that area, and I got here in Holbrook right at sunset, so did not seem safe to venture off into that area in the dark, so I decided to stop here. Plan on getting back to Phoenix here 8 o'clock or so. Get everything here packed up, back on the bike, hit the
Morning.
Miss all the signs back here?
I can't.
Going
Sorry?
65 and a 35.
It was 35?
Yes, sir. It was 45 and then it turned to 35.
Honestly, I just left the hotel and I was getting my heated gear turning on and I didn't see the sign.
Okay, well, you're
Truth be
under
told,
arrest,
sorry about that.
That means you go to jail, so pull up here to the next parking lot.
I'm sorry? I gotta take my earplugs out. I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Where do you want me to do?
I just want you to get off the road so we can take care of some business.
Oh, okay, where?
Go to there's Dairy Queen right up here. Just pull in there.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I could barely understand what you were telling me.
You're going 65 or 45. You got to 35, sir. Which is correct.
I did not know that. I'm very sorry about that. So, I've been coming from Boulder.
I don't care. I need your license and vehicle information.
Now, at this point, I stopped recording because I could tell this officer was just having none of it, and you saw the footage of what happened leading up to this whole interaction. I was definitely doing 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, and that is considered criminal speed here in Arizona. And if this officer wanted to, he could have just cuffed me, put me in the back of the car, and arrested me for criminal speed. So at this point, I am 100% de-escalation mode. So with that, I fired the cameras back up, and you'll see the outcome of what had transpired. Well, that was certainly not on the itinerary. It's doing criminal speed, which is a thing here in Arizona. Anything 20 over. So I was in a 45 doing 65, and that 45 turned to a 35, which I did not see because honestly I just wasn't paying attention. And I cut the cameras because I don't know, I feel like it's kind of douchey to record cops for content. It's a pullover. It happens, it sucks. I'm happy that he wrote me 10 over. It is discretionary, and the moral of the story here for people who hate police officers is that, remember, a lot of this stuff is discretionary, and if you act like an idiot, there's a good chance that you don't get out of things. So I didn't get out of it, but I got less of it. All right, so let's wrap this up. Again, I knew, plain and simple, I was caught speeding and I had a problem. Now, the reason why I decided to just show this entire interaction is because if you are an officer who's watching this, or you are just a regular citizen who's watching it, I think there's a lot to be learned about how some of these things kind of transpire. You see, this all took place. I mean, I woke up and 45 minutes later, I was being told I was being arrested. So not how I planned my morning to go, but the actual interaction from the time that I hit the public street to was told I was being arrested was 2 minutes. Obviously, this was not something where I was out ripping around trying to be a hooligan. I was just getting my whole setup ready to rock and roll. You get on the road, start trying to fine tune the level of heat you want out of your heated gear, get the visor set up, get the windshield where you want it. In the middle of nowhere where there's no traffic, it was not unsafe to do it in that moment. I could see people like, oh, you were fiddling around with everything and weren't focusing on riding. But again, it was in the middle of nowhere, nobody on the road. So what really rubs me the wrong way with this whole interaction, and I understand that it is a very nuanced thing, but I did not like the intimidation tactic. Now, first and foremost, when he first stopped me and he said, means you're under arrest, like I kind of heard him, but I had earplugs in my ears, which is part of riding a motorcycle. And I was like, did I hear him right? I don't know. And then he told me to go pull off the side of the road. But when I watched the footage back, it was not necessarily an attempt, in my opinion, to teach me a lesson. It was an attempt to, or a deploying of an intimidation tactic. Like, I am the law, you're under arrest. And it came off to me as kind of gross, to be totally honest with you. I clearly made a mistake, but to me, it was very serious when he said that. And I don't know, it just came off to me like, if you're going to tell someone they're under arrest, you better mean that that's what you're going to do. Otherwise, it just comes off as kind of like that whole statement of absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's where I start to feel like, police officers, if you're out there, I definitely think that policing should be a kind of a community policing approach, as I've heard it referred to, where you're also understanding the spirit of the law. Criminal speed in Arizona, yes, it is illegal. You cannot do 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. That law was clearly not intended to be because people are out in the middle of Holbrook at 5:30 in the morning street racing. This is clearly a law designed around the probably more populated areas of Phoenix. Now, you guys saw the outcome. I ended up being written a ticket for 55 and a 45. And that's where it's like, okay, so if this was just going to be a money grab thing, you could have kind of spared all the theatrics of you're under arrest, which means you're going to jail. And if there was a real moment to be taught about, like, hey, look, I want to educate you, it would have been pull you over. Hey, man, you're doing 20 over. That is something you could be arrested for. Let's pull it over and have a chat. Not you're going to jail. That's, again, it's just like, it's an ego thing more than it was an education thing. It was also frustrating because after all of the, as I call it, theatrics of arrest, the ticket was issued, and then the officer stood there and had asked me questions about, that's pretty cool. How do you get press bikes and the YouTube thing? And it was like, all of a sudden he was like interested in what I had to say. But in the beginning of the conversation, when I was trying to have a conversation, it was,
I don't care. I need your license.
Obviously, once this interaction ended, I was still cordial, but I'll tell you, I didn't care. And I just wanted to get back on the bike and ride, not really carry on a conversation. And that's coming from somebody who is myself very pro law enforcement. Now, getting back to the conversation about what I say, the knuckle dragging type comments, you should have kept your cameras running. You should have ran, or just some really quite vile things I see about that officer. Look, you have an opportunity in these situations to either talk yourself into handcuffs or out. And in this situation, again, was I wrong? Sure was. And there was zero value in me continuing to record this officer unless I was planning on running, fighting, or doing any of those just stupid things that turn a misdemeanor into a felony. But that's not me. And if that is you, be smarter, because it's absolutely stupid. In that moment, there was no value in me having any more recording of that actual interaction, but there was far more value in me turning off that camera and trying to carry on a conversation with this guy. Turning off the camera was step one towards de-escalation. These officers these days are absolutely very tired of people putting cameras in their faces shouting, "I know my rights." They're just trying to do their job, even if in this situation, I think it was a little bit, as I would call, extra. But you, again, are your best advocate in any of these situations. And if you don't have the ability to keep your cool, if you are going to lean towards being more of a hothead and talking yourself into more trouble than out, yes, keep your camera running because you might get punched in the nose. And then you're going to have the ability to say, police violence, whatever the case may be. Had this officer said, turn around, hands behind your back, you're under arrest, I would have put my hands behind my back and done it the right way, which is get an attorney and then fight it through court, because there is no such thing as roadside litigation. You will lose almost every single time you try it. I am much happier. Again, I talk about these comments that are the knuckle dragging comments that call me a bootlicker or say that I should have run and I didn't. I left with a $230 fine that was basically pay for traffic school. The ticket gets dismissed. Any of those other outcomes would have led to a felony and also jail time. Maybe best case scenario, those cases end up getting dropped and you're stuck with just the misdemeanor. And then I could enjoy many more road trips up from Phoenix to Holbrook, 3 hours north, and all of the legal expenses that come with that. And just all of the inconvenience with family, the implications on your job. There's so much that goes into it that if you genuinely believe those comments that are in the comment section, which I believe most people don't, I think there's an awful lot of keyboard tough guys out there. But if you do feel that way, be smarter. You are in control of your own destiny, even when other people who kind of hold the cards, like law enforcement, unfortunately, a lot of times they're the ones that get to kind of set the tone for what happens. And all you can do is try your best to, I guess, mold that conversation or interaction into the best outcome for yourself. It's that simple. At the end of the day, I have a ton of respect for law enforcement in the very difficult situations that they come across on the daily. They see things that I don't have to see, and I appreciate the service they provide to the community. And I know that a lot of these officers are dealing with a lot of things because of what they see. So I'm very aware and sensitive to that. But on the other side, there's still a requirement, if you're going to be in law enforcement, to treat people, I guess, the way that you would want to be treated, and not just have this I am the law mentality. And I think when you get that way, and unfortunately, I think a lot of officers over the course of years do get that way, that it's time to step back. And I think that departments should do a better job of vetting out and really stomping out that type of mentality, because it's just not good for the community. RoboCop, nobody wants them. Every law must be enforced all of the time. It's just not the way that society should run. There's been books written on this where it's like the everyday average citizen commits multiple felonies a day accidentally, just living their life. And if we were all having the book thrown at us every step of the way, it wouldn't be a very free country. And I think, again, the spirit of the laws are kind of more important than the letter of the laws, especially when you start talking about these misdemeanors, which are discretionary kind of things that officers are able to decide whether or not they kind of throw the book or not. So again, an opportunity for all of us to do better. I wanted to transparently share, once I was to the point where it couldn't turn around and legally bite me, share what happened. And I thought with that one video, the short, going viral, this would be a great opportunity to do so. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.